Well, I think that they need to bring back indentured servitude and make him keep staying here.
Okay, are we ready to give this a go? Everybody ready?
We're good.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call.
President Roush,
Present.
Vice President Lowe,
Present.
Member Chittister,
Here.
Member Tim,
Here.
Secretary Bailey here.
Okay, order of business, clerk's report, please.
This has just been a very busy 2 months. We had the fair and the yeah. Is it on? Yeah. Okay. We had a very busy 2 months since our last meeting. We had the fair and the office won most informative booth at the fair. So we're very proud of them for that. Giant blue ribbon,
What do you get for that?
a giant blue ribbon.
Put it on my check. Put it on my check. Come on.
So it was pretty exciting. And we participated in the Porter County walk where if people came to our booth, they got initials. So we think it caused more foot traffic at the booth as well. What else do we do? Yeah, we went to IVRA. The whole office went this time, so that was exciting. And Sunday and I participated in CISA's emergency response plan. So that was exciting, and it really made us think about what we need to do in order to have emergency responses in case something happens on or around Election Day. So we're going to get started on one of those.
It was really cool. It was people from all over the United States. So you had like Alaska on there, Louisiana, Nevada, Indiana, and then they set us up and broke us out into our own rooms. So we had Indiana room and they had a Colorado room and stuff. And it was just everybody kind of talking about, and they had people from the Secretary of State's office and CISA like going over situations basically. I liked it. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
Scary?
Huh?
Some of it's scary?
Scary
No?
things that you don't really you don't think about on a day-to-day basis. Like all of our machines have battery backup and like you could still vote on election day, but like our office doesn't. So we had to look somebody up. We wouldn't be able to do that unless we had, laptops out that were already charged and stuff like that. So just little things like that, but awareness, I guess.
And then on a personal note, in June, I was able to go with the Secretary of State on a trip to Guatemala for an election observers conference. There was 5 clerks that went, and so that was pretty interesting to see how they run elections in Guatemala and what the differences are. And they still use paper ballots, and they had 5 paper ballots at the same time, and they hand count everything, and it was eye-opening. Everything is color coordinated. It was definitely different. So that was interesting, but there was some things that we could do that they do as well, but some other things that I'm not interested in, like paper ballots. Directors, do you guys have anything?
Well, we sent our poll worker survey out to see how many of the poll workers from the primary wanted to work this election. We just sent it out yesterday and had 115 responses already. So they're using it, responding yes they want to work or no they can't. So we can kind of get our poll workers lined up a little bit earlier and get some more information from them as well. Because if we ask them, is there anything that we need to be aware of at that polling location or vote center location, and things like that. So it's nice information for us to get back from them, and it also helps, get everything lined lined up as far as getting them plugged into the system and getting them assigned to a location.
How many you need altogether? How many poll workers you need altogether to run this?
This last one was four. I'm gonna say four, but yeah, 368. See the 360. 360. Okay, I was gonna say 368. So
Okay,
400 people
okay,
by the time you get floaters and cancellations and such.
okay.
Jump right into that. I wasn't.
Becky, you have anything?
Nope.
Okay. All right, so we were distributed the meeting minutes from June 22nd, 2023. If there are no objections, I will move to accept them as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Campaign finance report hearings. Okay, so we're going to go into a sort of a different phase of this meeting. I think we begin with me reading some stuff into the record. Is that correct? Do I need to?
That's right. We have two types of, we have, just as an initial piece of this, we have both the delinquent defective campaign reports, and we have one on the delinquent report. So we had one in June, if you recall, where we had the mail was being held. We weren't sure about notice. That person's here today. So we pushed that one over to today. But we have a number of, since June, we have a number of them that are delinquent or delinquent defectives.
Okay. All right, so I'll begin by reading this. We are here today to hear information concerning the delinquent and/or delinquent deficit filing of annual reports by a number of candidates. The hearing was set by the board at this prior meeting. Public notice of this meeting has been provided. This matter is being recorded, and I am requesting that the county clerk please ensure that the audio recording of these proceedings are maintained as part of the record. Ms. Conrad, could you please explain the notice of the proceedings that were provided to each of these candidates?
Sure. We sent out, well, first on the one that is delinquent that came from June, and she's here with us today. That is Jennifer McHargue. Am I saying that correct? Okay. We had sent out notice to her in June. What we found out was her mail was being held, so we weren't really sure if she got it before our meeting in June. It was the board's determination to then to hold that over until today. I sent out notice earlier this month, and she happens to be present. That is the only one on the delinquent side of things. On the delinquent defective, I sent out notice at the same time that I sent it out to Ms. Hargue with regard to those. And it is, so that, and as each one comes up, I can tell you where we're at on the receipt of notice.
Okay. All right, so at this point in time, anyone who is here to give testimony in these hearings, I'd like you to stand up and raise your right hand, please, and I'll swear you in collectively. All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the evidence you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. All right, do we need Becky and Sunday to comment on
No, let's go ahead and call Jennifer.
that? All right, Jennifer, are you ready? If you'd like, you can come up and state your full name for the record, please.
Okay. My name is Jennifer McCarg. Hi. I guess I didn't know my form was wrong. And then I got the notice, my mail was held because we were on vacation. And I think I got my mail the day of the hearing or the day after, and I immediately called right away. But I think I have my form correct online now,
Okay,
my CFA form.
to be clear, I think that you may have had some problems. I think there's two things.
Oh,
Okay. You had your pre-primary report that was due before the primary election. It was due in April,
yes.
and it was
April 4th?
April 4th, and it was delinquent, okay?
Oh.
And it didn't get turned in on time, and the full amount of the fine is because it's $50 a day up to $1,000, and so the fine is $1,000 that the board will consider, okay?
Okay.
She then turned it in, and when she turned it in, there were some concerns with that, and the office let her know, but she timely corrected those deficiencies. So the only thing that we have here is the original delinquent filing from April because of the amount of time that went before we got it. And Becky, I can't remember what the date was that she finally did file it.
June 27th. Yeah, there was a round or two of amendments of the pre-primary that then went forward, and she did comply with those, but this was initially over just the delinquency of
Okay.
the original.
So you probably want to speak to the board about the April due date and that being not turned in until June.
I guess I didn't, I might have missed that one. I'm sorry. Like, this is all new for me. Yeah, I don't have a reason. I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm learning as I go. I don't know.
So the original filing was due in June,
In April.
April.
in April. You were late.
Yeah.
When you did turn it in, it was deficient.
That's correct.
And you worked in good faith with the office from that point on to rectify the problems with that initial filing that was late.
Yes. As soon as I realized that there was a problem.
And the reason you didn't know, the reason you were late was simply because you didn't understand the requirements
I guess I didn't.
filing?
I think is that one had to be filed by like noon on that date, maybe, and I didn't realize there was a time frame. I thought it was just that day. I didn't realize it had to be by noon that day.
Any other anybody with questions or comments?
So we had several similar cases at our last meeting, where this was the max fine. I mean, the max fine is $1,000.
Yeah.
That's automatic, by law. Our only discretion as to whether to consider reducing that or not. And certainly I can understand your lack of familiarity with some of the requirements here, but when you miss a deadline like this, then we have to respond and we have to go through the process
Right.
of engaging legal counsel to notify you and things.
Okay.
So what we had done at the last meetings when there was these max fines is that we were pretty consistent in terms of reducing it from $1,000 to $100 to at least try and recoup some of the out-of-pocket costs that the county incurs to
Yeah.
go through the process.
That's very understandable.
So I would go ahead and make a motion in favor of reducing the current fine from the maximum amount of $1,000 to $100.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you so much.
100.
Okay. You have before you, we also have, you probably remember this from June. We had Victoria Gresham come before you, but we had sent notice to the wrong committee. We've sent out new notice to her, and she has signed the waiver, and she's already paid the fine of $50, and we just need to have the board to approve the waiver.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Can we set a due date on the one that we just reduced?
Yes, but I can. In the past, we haven't, while we're reducing the fine amount while the candidate's still here, we've never really set a time frame. So now we have a couple lingering that have not come in still. And there's, I don't know how we'll enforce that in the future if we don't set the date when we reduce a fine. The standard 2 weeks or
You mean when they have to pay the fine?
Yeah,
Yeah.
payable by.
Yeah.
otherwise there's one now that's been 2 months and they give them a date, so.
I have to deal with collections on that, probably. Okay.
You want to amend your motion with a time frame?
30 days.
And I'll second that amendment.
So we have a proposed amendment, a second. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So now we are signing.
It's a good idea. Going into the delinquent defective reports, which have the maximum fine of $100. We gave out notice to Amy Arney. She has voluntarily paid she had a $10 fine, and so she's already made payment, correct? Oh, $100, sorry, her was $100, and she's already made payment. And we have a waiver of her, for her to approve by the board.
Motion to accept her waiver.
So moved.
Second.
Amy Arney is the respondent. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Next we have,
Okay. Done.
I sent out notice to Drew Wanger and also Hannah Brubred. I'm not able to access my file right now to tell you the date of that notice and the receipt of that notice, but they were to be here on delinquent defective filings. Have not heard from either of those two, and those are the other two that you have before you.
So are they at the maximum point of the fine?
No, these two were received but late.
Received but late.
They just had a set fine amount that they were notified either appear or sign the waiver to appear and pay it, and they had done it. So Drew's fine was the $100, and Hannah's was $20.
I think our past response to that is to have them here next month. The fine stands,
We
right?
We only do that if the notice is defective, like if they didn't get notice in time.
But they were already notified that they had to pay it
Oh.
and they not paid it yet. So I don't know how you go forward now, you don't get the chance to argue or, ask for a reduction. You owe it.
Yeah, so who goes and gets the money?
Well,
Going on vacation anywhere fun, because then Jewel comes. Yep.
what did you say? What did you say? Yeah, I know, we kind of, yeah.
Yeah, she said she's in France, so Becky and I volunteer as her last act to.
You have your bounty hunter's license all up to date, do you?
Yep. Can we take that out of training?
I'm trying to check, again, I'm trying to access, we've got some internet problems.
While Monica's looking at that, so was their reports corrected successfully then?
Yes.
Both of them? So as
They
it's,
are-
okay,
Yes, they are in good standing now, accuracy-wise.
okay.
They were received after the date we gave them.
So I'm kind of wondering if they just thought that because they got it corrected, that they didn't have to show. But my letter makes it clear that they still have to show.
Waive it by paying, or you are expected to show. I mean,
So do we
I mean, the
approve
fine stands
approve the
unless-
fines as they are and stand, and then if they want to contest them, they get to come back next month
Well-
and contest it, and why that?
Yeah, I don't know that we need to set it for like a hearing next month, but I
Yeah.
think that there's a communication that probably needs to go out to both of them to say, you know, consistent with Monica's prior communication, you
Right.
reported an opportunity, you didn't show up.
You're
You-
defaulted.
Yeah, you owe
days to pay.
$100 and $20 respectively.
Yeah, you're just defaulted for the no-show.
You want that in two separate motions or one?
Two separate motions.
All right, I'll make a motion that the fine stands for $100 for Drew Wenger.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hannah Trueblood?
I make a motion, the fine stands for Hannah Trueblood, $20?
Yes.
$20.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay? That takes care of it.
Then there's one more,
Oh, yes, sorry, there is.
my fault.
Yeah, I apologize. My internet, I'm just not getting through to my
Well, he was,
things
he was.
at the bottom of the list.
Those two, because he did not turn in the report at all, the amendment. So he is at the max fine of $100, but we still never received the amended report, which, while we're talking about that, we did receive a waiver for Amy Arnie, but she did not submit the report either, so, and before we had kind of discussed how to handle this too, because we may get money out of them, but we're still not actually
Getting the report.
corrected report. So just like for that, should we be accepting the,
But-
should we accept the waiver if they don't have a report with it?
So she came in personally into your office.
She is aware that a report is owed, but we have not seen one. And we did have one candidate that we had this happen with too, that just never ever turned one in again. And we were saying like, that's what the state's direction and code state is, this is the fine amount for this amount of days. Nowhere does it say how to go forward ever getting one.
Have we taken a position in the past for other parts of financial issues where the reports never come or a committee never closes in a timely fashion? My memory is that we had someone who retired out of state and left
That was yeah.
a campaign committee open, and this board, after some reasonable amount of time, closed it.
3 years you can.
3 years. Well, that's a,
But disband.
what time is it now?
These are active candidates that are on
Yeah.
the ballot.
Yeah, okay,
They can't necessarily be starting their 3 years yet.
right.
Maybe they can.
Sir?
Yeah, and a interesting aspect of that is those candidates will be required to file a pre-election report. And on the pre-election report, they have to say how much money they had on hand at the time of the original report. Without an original report, you can't compare that to a pre-primary report. Therefore, that report will be invalid because you don't have the data, corrected data from the original report.
But
So
again,
it's gonna be a compounded
they'll
problem.
they'll have a max fine again though, and then, I mean, that's
Yeah.
far beyond us though.
I think the idea that
To get
fine
the
and then
reports.
with the time period, then you can start going to small claims court, collect, and that may get them to start filing.
So is this guy gonna be a candidate in the on the November ballot?
believe it's,
So they don't have an election, but it's not contested, so there's no election on an actual ballot.
Yeah.
So no one ran against him in the primary and no one filed in the general?
but he made over, they,
So
they
he
get
will
paid
still
over
be
the
an
threshold.
elected official once it's over.
Right, they're required by the amount that they're paid to do the reporting, but they're not contested, so they will not actually physically have an election in November. But he would still owe a pre-election report.
Right,
And under the statute, he can take office still owing?
yeah. I was gonna say, I don't think that comes in, yeah, I'm not so sure that comes into play, but, you know, but we do have to address the fine. I mean, come on.
And unfortunately for this situation, he does have a standing pre-primary. It was that he did not make the corrections to it. So it's not that he never heard any reported, he just did not comply with the amendment. Same thing, we have not received her.
But I'm saying, but Amy will be on the
Oh,
ballot.
yes, yes.
For
Barbara
Amy
is
Arns,
contested.
she
Amy
is
will
contested.
have
She
an
will
election.
have an election.
If it's not contested, their name isn't even on the ballot. No one
There's
knows
no
it.
one to choose to win because if there's 5 seats, there's only 5 candidates, so there's nothing for the public to vote on because
So they automatically
they get
win.
to,
Don't they at least have to have one vote?
that nobody else filed against them, so it's theirs.
And in many instances, we have nobody, I mean, it's totally uncontested, and we don't even put them on the ballot. You guys don't even code them in, it's just to save time and effort and everything else.
Yeah, there's no need for it, because then.
Yeah, why put somebody's name on there? To see, what, a popularity contest or what?
If they had an election. For like Valpo.
Yeah. I mean, to get it, I mean, the other part of, I mean, the other thing that you guys can do,
Other districts.
the other thing you guys can do,
Townwide.
let me suggest something here. What we can do is reconsider accepting this waiver. And we can hold this waiver up and hold it up for another, and make it subject to her turning into the report. I mean, I don't know, she's paid the fine, I mean, it's, the difficult thing is she's paid the fine,
We don't have the full, we don't have.
or maybe we can send out notice to have her order to appear and explain or show causes why she hasn't turned in a report.
I mean, this is my thought. I mean, if we didn't make the filing of the report contingent, I mean, if we didn't make that contingency on signing the waiver and paying the funds, then
Yeah.
it's kind of changing the rules of the game at this point.
Yeah,
So I'd be inclined to go ahead and say, let's agree to her waiver, let's accept the payment on the fine, and then we'll deal with the necessity of filing that report independent of that.
Okay.
Realizing that we probably don't have a whole lot of teeth to use in that circumstance, other than the fact that she is still a candidate, and I mean, not in compliance with
In the
Indiana.
waiver, it does state that this is still outstanding and turn it in immediately to da-da-da. So it does identify that in the letter too.
right. Well, I think the part of it is the missed opportunity in all of this is that when she was there present, is to send her back home and to get the report, besides her money too. I mean, you know,
She had even called in advance too, and we directed her,
to bring the report with
yes,
her.
coming in to fill out this waiver and pay, but you still have to turn the report. And then she had questions of what needed to be done, and we directed her on where to find the corrections that needed to be made, and she found them, but then when she came in, she still didn't have it with her. But I don't think we can turn her away either from paying a fine and filing a waiver because of that. It doesn't indicate
That's
it.
kind of what we're asking.
If we go forward with that process and maybe change the language to comply with that, but right now it doesn't necessarily say one or the, like,
I think we still pursue. I mean, listen, the settlement agreement is what it is, or the waiver is what it is. Just
Yeah.
pay the fine. We'll accept those. Those have been accepted. That's in the rearview mirror. I think there is a correspondence that needs to go out there to say, you are still not in compliance. This is outstanding. We're requesting
You need
that
to
you
remit-
file
you
this
need to
on or
remit.
before this date.
There's just nothing that can affect it at this point.
Yeah.
Or nothing, I mean, as far as we know, either with the state even. there's
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say there's nothing that can be threatened at this point. I mean, to Kennard's point back there, I mean, there is
Right.
this exact moment, we may not have a hammer, but come time when that has to be filed, then perhaps we do. So, yeah, you're not in compliance. This needs to be addressed immediately. Please file this, on or before this date.
So we have accepted her payment. And we are proposing that she be notified once again by council that she still owes the report.
Correct.
Okay?
Okay.
Monica?
I can let her know that she owes the report. I'm gonna come back to, on a couple of things, sorry to do this, because whatever reason are not getting connected here. On Mike, he never picked up his, it was sent by mail in regular mail, but he never picked up his notice from the post office. But we did send it by mail and certified mail. Certified mail is just sitting there.
Then he would get a letter saying, you now officially owe the full 100, and you still.
Mhm.
Is that one we've already acted on as well?
That was the one we were just holding up, and we haven't decided what to do with his.
So he hasn't signed for his documents, is that what you're saying? They were mailed to him, but we don't know if he's accepted them?
He got his, I sent it out by mail and certified mail. It went out to them on the 16th. That was for Drew, for Hannah, and for Mike. What I've got back from, on Drew Ranger, he did receive it on the 18th. Okay. On Hannah Trueblood, I got the notice, we got the notice out on the 16th. We did get something back that the address is not the right address for her committee. And we sent it out to her committee in her home address, but we got something back on Hannah's. So on Hannah, I'm gonna suggest that we try to get better address for her, but for some reason her committee address is invalid. We also happen to send kind of a courtesy regular mail to her home address. Now, the things that are going out via mail are not coming back to us.
Okay, to move things forward then, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if Drew received his notice on the 18th, then he had his opportunity. I mean, today's the 24th, so it's more than enough time to show up today or reach out to explain why he couldn't be here. As it relates to Hannah, I think we need to dig in and figure out what the issue was with the address. Was
Okay.
it a typographical error? Was it, we sent it to the correct address for the,
For the committee?
yeah.
Her home, correct?
Wait, I sent certified mail to her committee, okay? Because you gave me both addresses. You gave me her committee and her home address. And I think her official address is her committee, correct?
Her committee, yes, the one.
Okay. I sent the certified mail only to her committee, and that's what it came back as being invalid. I did not send it to both her home and her committee. I just did the committee to her home by regular mail. Okay. So for whatever reason, so I don't know what's happening with the committee address, and that's her official address.
So don't we just send it certified to her home address?
I can send it next time to both, I will send it next time to both her home address and her committee address again. But it would suggest that perhaps her committee, well, and they're supposed to maintain their committee address, correct?
Our understanding whether or not Hannah has maintained her election committee address correctly is us understanding whether or not we have a typo in our files. That's the first place to start, because it may not be on her end, it could be on our end.
Right.
So we may be sending it to an address that legitimately is not her committee address. Right? If we have a typo in our records,
Well, I don't know if that's a typo in her records, but that's the address.
that's
sent
what
it
we
to.
have, right?
Right. So that's what we sent it to. So we can try to send out another notice and have her come back again.
Okay.
Any more?
We have no others, except for Mike, what you want to do with,
Which one is Mike?
excuse me, we have, oh gosh.
I
I'm
didn't
missing
see him
a
on there,
page.
yeah.
Mike Wallace. His report was due June the 1st at noon. Outstanding, maximum fine $100.
He's received legal notice and taken no action.
He's never picked up his certified mail from the post office, but we sent it out regular mail. And we did not get anything come back as not returned, but his certified mail is just sitting out there.
And he filed a report, but it was delinquent, or
He filed a report, this is a delinquent defective.
effective?
Filed a report, he was told to make correct errors. It was due June the 1st at noon. It remains outstanding. The maximum fine is $100.
And he's reached the maximum.
Yes, which is $10 a day.
Motion to fine him $100.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey, Monica, I'm looking at last month's meetings, and there's a candidate, Pam Schrader, that did not appear, and the fine was $1,000.
You guys had made a determination because it was good service to default her.
Correct. So, and we gave her the opportunity to show up today, so now the
No,
one.
we did not, that was not one that you guys held over. That's one where I'm gonna need to prepare findings for her being defaulted for not appearing, even though she got good notice. That, there was a discrepancy in the minutes, Becky and I talked, Becky,
So she gets a second chance?
no.
No.
The board did not determine at the June meeting to give her a second chance. She got notice and she didn't appear.
So she owes $1,000.
And she owes $1,000.
All right. And I know this isn't a campaign finance report, but what about our dear friend Jack Gent?
He
Did he pay?
has not. I took the findings that the board adopted and mailed them to him and tried to send it to him via certified mail. Of course, that didn't get picked up. I then sent it by, I think, overnight mail, and I can check to see if he actually, there's a way of verifying whether or not he got it. Let's see if I can but I believe that he's received that. Well, coming back up. So we took the letter that we got, and we got, because he didn't get picked up from the post office. It eventually came back to my office, and we took that and overnighted it to him, like, I think FedEx or one of those, or overnight, so that we could verify the receipt that he got it. And if you give me a moment, I can find out whether he received it.
Okay.
But that would end up ultimately hanging out there, and then the next step would be collections.
So one way or the other, next month, if we don't have anything
I don't,
improvement on his part, then we need to turn it over to collection.
that would probably be the next step. Mhm.
Okay?
Mhm.
All right, yeah, so we just need to know next month that business needs to carry over.
Just tying up loose ends.
Yep.
So then, going forward, if you set a due date for fines, we have one candidate, other than Mr. Gent, that has not paid an outstanding fine. So, courtesy send her a letter reminding her that she has a fine. I don't think we can really tell her 30 days now, after it was already voted on before.
Which one?
I don't know who it is. Lindbergh.
Is that back to the conversation that
Lindbergh.
Ethan had about,
I remember that one.
we're kind of past that, and we just have to wait for the next iteration to challenge her on that?
Or have an outstanding fine.
Oh,
That
she
was the
didn't-
first time, besides Mr. Jet, but that was a different type of fine that we had had. Now, any time prior when we order someone a fine amount here, they pay it right away. It's been since June now that this one candidate is still outstanding. I understand that we can't go backwards now and give
Yeah.
her a due date because it was not decided. I didn't know
What do we do?
if we just let it go and word gets out too, hey, you don't have to.
So Becky, remind me the date that came in front of the board
Our last meeting,
for Lynn, and it was Lynn who?
Shelby.
Shelby? And she came and we reduced the fine to what?
That was the last hearing when we had all of the candidates here, and hers was 1,000 to 100. So everybody else now is in good standing. Meeting is
And she's not paid?
correct.
But she's turned in her report.
She already had turned it in by the meeting, I guess.
Okay.
She hasn't complied with the monetary fine that
Right, that the board.
the board set. Well, I think there too, at the very least, we either give her one last chance or we turn it over to what entity makes good on debt for the county.
Yeah.
I don't, that's not us.
It's the small claims. With regard to Mr. Gent, that went out overnight with no signature required, thinking that the date of delivery on that was July the 25th.
So he was notified that he was late in notifying? Have we called him before this board yet?
No, that was on the sign violation.
The sign violation?
Mm-hmm.
That was for civil penalty.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. So this is just a matter of like collecting on the fines that the board imposes. That's
yeah.
that's
Again, I don't-
beyond what the board
Yeah,
can
that's
do in
not our
terms of
job.
trying to kind of collect. Okay. Come,
I think we have to turn it over to somebody for collection. I don't know who that is that does that on behalf of the county, but I think he's had time to pay it.
Okay.
Are we finished?
I think we're done
then
on this
with, already? We're finished already with election report hearings? All right, election 2023 updates.
We have the early voting set from October 23rd to November 6th, as discussed before. We're gonna have 2 boards in Valpo and Chesterton. 1 board each at each Valpo location, 2 boards at the Portage location, and then 1 in Chesterton. The mobile vote's still gonna stay Tuesdays and Thursdays at Luke and Family Express. And then on Saturdays, it'll be at Couts Library and Jamestown Apartments, just as in the primary. And then we will, we pass these out at the fair, so everyone got plenty of heads up. And there's some down in the office for those as well. Besides that, the absentee boards are pretty full. I think we were still looking at what, 1 spot that was left?
One spot, and it might be full now. She's gonna call probably for years.
Besides that, everything's pretty much.
Okay.
Hey, what happened to the Beverly Shores election complaint?
It went away because they did the convention and that person didn't receive enough votes to make it on the ballot.
All right, some news associated with,
Paul, I think we have a question.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Can I make public comments now regarding the election update?
It's further down the agenda. Feel compelled to do it now?
I was just wondering, I didn't know what.
It's on the agenda. Okay, assistant director opening.
I'm sorry?
Assistant director opening.
Yes, Becky has decided to seek a new endeavor, and so, come here, Beck. The board, we wish you the best of luck. Congratulations. We will miss you.
Becky, we're all gonna miss you.
Agreed.
Yes.
I love every part of this job. I think we all know that.
You don't have to leave.
We do.
Obviously, it was an offer I couldn't refuse.
So the new gig you couldn't do part-time and, you know, just hang with,
On weekends.
hang with,
No.
Don't be surprised if they come in the morning and I'm like, hi guys.
well,
Or,
person,
I will be working partially remote, so I'm like, stop me from bringing my laptop in and sitting with you guys.
you've been a great deal of help to me personally. I'm one of the junior guys here, and I've learned a lot from you, and you did it without yelling at me. And that's, I always appreciate that. So I'm going to miss you personally and your professionalism. I'm sure the whole office is going to miss you.
Yes. Yeah.
He's more than oh, she's
Okay, do we have any information on where we're at with that?
We have received some applications. I'm not in a I'm not gonna rush through them. They're, in order to get the position, it needs to be not affiliated with the Republican Party because it has to be bipartisan. And they still need letters of support from both sides of the aisle. So it's not an easy position to fill, but we're getting there. But
People are coming forward, at least showing interest
yes,
in the
we are
work.
getting interest, for sure.
Okay, key to our operation, right? Upcoming meetings.
Our next scheduled meeting is September 28th. Monica, that's a
Yeah,
problem?
I have a conflict that I am struggling to get resolved for the 28th. I've tried to get it off and get it changed, and I just can't get there. And I don't know, particularly in terms of like having some of these things that we've scheduled or rescheduled. I don't know if we can move that maybe possibly into the following week or not. And I don't know when.
Following week, first week of October.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of town the first week of October. We do have public test that week, but I'll already have a proxy,
And what day is the public test on the 6th? Is that right?
the 4th.
On the
Or I'm sorry, yes, on the 6th.
On the 6th? If we could possibly move our meeting of the 28th over to the 6th?
I'll have to check and see if we can have a room. Because typically for public test, we don't have a room. And public test is also usually 8 o'clock in the morning.
So conduct a public test and then come up
And
here,
then come up here and try to have it
just like
here.
we do when we certify.
Yeah.
So I can see if what time do you want me to see if the room's available?
Like maybe at 9?
At 9?
9
And if-
a.m.
and if
on the
not-
6th.
If not, we can do like we've done before where we had that room downstairs.
Which way? I can see if either of those rooms are available.
Yeah.
Do you guys have
We're not
conflicts?
gonna meet on the normal meeting on September 28th. We're looking to move it to Friday, October 6th at 9 a.m.
That's an equipment.
If we're gonna have the equipment test at 8, do we wanna set that for 8:30 instead, just so we don't end up with a lag there
Yeah, we,
potentially?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a municipal election. We may be able to complete that a little more quickly.
okay. So the test would be 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the public.
Meeting
8 a.m.
scheduled for 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, and I'll check room availability for that.
I come at 8 then or 8:30?
8.
Damn it, I was.
And you'll come in through the parking garage down there. There's the room where all the
I got you.
equipment is. And then come up here after the thing.
Okay, any other dates?
Voter
Jess?
registration ends on October 10th.
Okay. Okay. Other business before the board? Public comment? Barb, you want to come up, state your name for the record for us, please?
My name's Barbara Domer, and I'm a member and former board member of the League of Women Voters of Porter County. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan, grassroots organization working to protect and expand voting rights and ensure everyone is represented in our democracy. We empower voters and defend democracy through advocacy, education, and litigation at the local, state, and national levels. We fight to increase voters' access to the polls, including expanding early voting. I'm here today to voice my concern about the decision made by this body to limit access to absentee, in-person early voting in the upcoming 2023 municipal general election, increasing it or decreasing it from the state of Indiana's guidelines of offering 28 days beginning on October 11th to the reduced early voting period in Porter County of 14 days beginning on October 23rd. I urge this board to reconsider their decision and extend the absentee in-person early voting to align with the state of Indiana's requirement to offer in-person absentee voting for 28 days prior to Election Day at each designated early vote center location. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do have another comment.
You want to give your comment now?
I mean, I guess, is there any discussion or?
I don't know, we'll see.
Okay, I'll wait.
Anybody have any comment? We took action on this as a board in setting our dates. I want to say it was either February or March meeting based on the data from the 4 previous municipals that kind of gave us a path on when people are casting their ballots and kind of how that was grouped together. Although it was my understanding that there was some discretion with this board as to when the municipal elections could be held. I don't believe it is mandated at 28 days, or we would not have done that.
That's the maximum. On municipal elections, the board is allowed to reduce the number of days for early voting because we have a and although we did reduce the days by 9 days, so you still have 60% of your early voting. We have more sites than we've ever had. We have our mobile voting unit that we have. We have more boards every year. Every single year, we're doing more and more sort of voter outreach. On the 65 to 73% of all of the voters vote in the last 2 weeks of early voting. We have all Saturdays. We have late nights. We have weekends. We do everything that we possibly can to make sure that it's accessible for the voters. Most of the buses, we added more locations this year. Like, we are constantly adding more and more, so that way it's more accessible for the voters, not less accessible. They can vote by mail. They can vote by travel board. Other than holding their hand and actually voting for them, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot that we can do as far as that part of it. With the voting locations as well, like I said, we have 2 Valpo locations now. That was not in the past. I was looking up some of the other counties that have early voting going on. Some of them do reduce it, and a lot of them have 1 location and no evening hours and 1 Saturday. So we're going above and beyond them. It's half of the voters that are voting. We have 130,000 voters, and only 70,000 of them are voting in this election. And our turnout, the highest turnout in the entire state for the primary was 27%. Ours was 10%.
There's no denying that decreasing the early voting period from 28 days to 14 days is a decrease. I appreciate everything that you've said regarding all of the other opportunities that people have to vote, but there's no way that you can say that reducing the number of early in-person absentee voting days from 28 to 14 is not a decrease.
It's not even like it's 9 days. I'm not saying that it's not a decrease. I'm just saying they have other opportunities. If they're only available during those first 9 days of early voting, they're more than they can vote by mail. Like I said, we have evening hours that we did not offer in the past. We do both Saturdays.
I think it's a requirement that it has to be 2 Saturdays.
No, it does not for municipal
No.
elections.
Not municipal.
No.
We do 1 week. I looked up some of the
Okay.
counties are only doing 1 week of early voting, 1 Saturday.
Okay, well,
On location.
the information that I took was off the state of Indiana's website where it said you were required to have 2 Saturdays, and it did use the word requirement for offering in-person absentee voting for 28 days. It said the word requirement. But I guess my point is as a member of the League of Women Voters of Porter County, I am fighting to increase voters' access to the polls. And I don't appreciate the fact that Porter County has decreased to reconsider their decision. Thank you.
Be noted.
Thank you.
Does anyone entertain the notion of a new vote on this or a new motion on this? It would have to be unanimous, is my understanding from council, if one were to be taken or entertained. Hearing none. Your next comment?
So again, my name's Barbara Domer, and I'm here today to voice my concern about the location of the mobile voting van. I personally object to the mobile voting van being parked in the parking lot of the building that houses the Porter County Republican Party headquarters. There are other parking spaces in this city that can be used for the mobile voting van. And what I've heard from residents is using this lot implies political activity towards the success of a particular political party or political group. It is offensive to many residents, and I recommend it is moved to a politically neutral parking space. Thank you.
Who sets up the parking? Commissioners, correct? For any county-owned vehicles, stuff like that?
No.
Huh?
I parked it over there. It is not on the property of that building, actually. It is
It's in the easement.
Technically, I brought it back from the fair, which put it there where it is right now for that reason, because we were unloading all of the equipment that we had at the fair, and
It's literally
I'm
across
sure you
the
guys know
street.
where the garage entrance is to where our equipment is. It is the most accessible place for us to walk it all across the street one by one.
Can't put it in the garage?
It doesn't fit in the garage.
Won't fit because it's too tall?
Too tall.
It won't fit in the garage. And that is the only parking lot that is around this building for us to have access to. As we started and ran every 2 weeks. I mean, honestly, you can't even see the Republican headquarters sign when you're driving past it. I mean, you have to literally turn your neck to look into the parking lot to see it.
There's what,
We're actually
15?
surprised they don't complain because we're actually blocking it.
There's 15 businesses in that?
There's 12 to 15 businesses in there, including a nail
I don't know.
salon, massage, there's a lawyer.
I guess I question the authority of this board to tell anyone where to park a county vehicle. I'm not sure why that. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not minimizing
Thank
what you're saying. But as to what our jurisdiction is over where the county parks stuff around these buildings here, I'm not sure this board has any say or any voice in that.
Instead of park there, like we've been using that back and forth since we bought it in 2020.
I know it's been there a long time. I will honestly say I didn't know that the Republican headquarters were there, but I do know that the van has been there for quite a long time.
It does go back to a place off-site when it's not being used at all. But when we were just unloading equipment out of it 2 weeks ago, and at that time, not everyone was in the office either, so I was out there by myself, loading and unloading every piece. The bus was filled to the top from the fair.
Yeah, so Barb, you think this is just bad timing?
The ease of,
They're unloading the van and it's sitting across the street while they unload it?
That, I don't think is the issue. I think it's being parked there for I don't know how many days. I'm just going to say a more than an unloading and loading day. It's parked there for a specified period of time. And my point is that I believe there are other parking spaces within the city.
Tell me what, where?
Yeah, the Valpo Dem's got a place they can put it? Huh?
Around this building.
I mean, close by? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what we're getting into, and that's why I don't believe this board has jurisdiction
I don't
over
wanna get in
trying
trouble
to
warm
figure
match
that
orders and
out.
stuff, man.
I don't know where to park it. That's the honest truth. I'm glad we have it, and I think
Oh,
it benefits our voters.
Mm-hmm.
But where you park it, I don't have a clue.
and when it would typically get reloaded with what it needs now for early voting, for it to go out, one person can't necessarily load that by themselves, so it is sitting there until it can go rush out a replacement, we can't take 20 minutes to go drive all the way out to the sheriff's department to get it, to then come back here. It's simply the ease of access.
Honestly, yeah, it's only sitting there longer because we came back from the fair, went straight into our conference, and then we got the complaint, so I left it there so everybody could see it there.
Mm.
So they could see what the complaint was about, so that you guys were aware, I guess.
Mhm. Wow.
So we've been super busy and I have not had, I usually take it home and detail the whole thing, clean it all out, wash, my husband washes it for us. Get it all nice and it'll be ready, and then it goes back out to the highway department.
I don't know which or department or organization that I would direct this to if this is the wrong.
Well, I would go one step further. I'm not concerned about the jurisdiction issue. I think we've heard a perfectly good reason as to why it's
Yeah.
located the way it is there. It's done temporarily for ease of staff. It's been done for a significant period of time. It's not being done for any improper, untoward reason. So I think I'm comfortable with why it's parked there. And
I think I'm
parked there.
comfortable that it's there. I guess I'm comfortable in some sense because it's not my decision to make. That's part of my.
Well, I just don't
level,
want this. I guess what I'm trying to head off, Paul, is I don't want other county departments to start getting involved in
Oh,
this
yeah.
because we're punting and saying it's not our decision. I'm
Yeah.
saying
I'm fine.
to the extent it's our decision, I understand it makes perfectly good sense as to why it's temporarily located there as it has been for some time now.
It does leave. It
Correct.
leaves, it comes back. It leaves, it comes back.
Mhm.
There's,
In a few months, it will never have to be there again.
right. The office is relocating. I guess that was another thing under other, the walls are being built.
We have walls,
You are moving?
Yep, we have walls now.
we're working on the electrical today.
Where are you moving to?
157?
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your advocacy. Any other public comment? Sir?
Yeah. Because some of us here. As you know, as everybody knows, I serve as a consultant to the board on campaign finance. And it has been an extreme pleasure working with Becky over the years. She is very professional in everything she does. We are of two different parties, but in no discussions had that ever entered into the proper notification of people, the proper handling of reports. None of that has ever occurred. And it's to her professionalism that has occurred. And I am going to miss working with her. I see her probably once a week at least. You know,
Probably at least.
and I know she loves raspberries, and I bring her raspberries once in a while, like I did as a going away gift this week. You know, it is such a pleasure when you work with people that really want to do the job and don't care what politics you are. They want to see that the voters get the best and that the candidates have the best opportunities to do the best job. And she's that type of person. So you're really losing a good one.
Amen. Thank you. Any other comments? Motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you all.